Hey, just wanted to jump on here and talk about something I was thinking about. The um, we must have, we must master as Christian professionals and entrepreneurs delayed gratification. That is a life hack. Let me turn off my engine here. That is a life hack that is so important. There's a scripture. It says in Proverbs 21:17, he that loves pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loves wine and oil shall not be rich. Now, I'm not going to get into pleasure so much and wine and oil so much, but rather just the concept behind that. The concept behind that. So this is what I call conceptual theology, for lack of a better word. But the concept behind that, or conceptual exegesis, maybe that's a better word. But the concept behind that is delayed gratification. That is a life hack. Some of the best and biggest entrepreneurs that I've ever seen were people who were able to delay their gratification. Here's what I mean. They start a business and they start making some money, and they, rather than putting the money in, into like, oh man, I'm making money hand over fist. Now I'm about to go and buy this. I'm going to buy that. I'm getting a bigger house. I'm doing this. I'm going to buy a car. I'm splurging on expensive restaurants, all that stuff. But they delay that gratification and they put the money back into the business so that it compounds more. Now, our channel is about vitality and health, and Christian vitality and health, using our faith for vitality and health. So we want to tie that in because many of us, we want to be business owners and we want to be entrepreneurs and all of those things. And a lot of times we don't get there is because we are unable to delay gratification. A lot of times, we want to start a business, but because we are unable to delay gratification, especially in our 20s, we spend a lot of money and time on that. Let me give you an example. I wanted to, when I was younger, I had a guy come over and he sat me down and said, hey, look, if you invest in this type of insurance, I can't remember what type of insurance it was. I don't know if it was whole life or whatever it is, but it was basically a type of insurance where you could do, I think what they call now infinite banking. And so back then we didn't know anything about that, right? So he said, if you invest in this particular insurance vehicle, then you'll be able to, by the time you're 30, you'll be able to borrow from it and be able to do a lot of the things that you want to do, start a business, run your ministry, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? He said, I have had other pastors when they first started do this, and by the time they got older, this was money, this was a source of income that they could borrow from. This is almost like their own personal piggy bank. So I signed up for that plan, and I think I may have done it for maybe 2 years, maybe. I'm in my early 20s. Matter of fact, I might have been 19. But at the time, I'm in my early 20s or whatever, and I think I did it for like 2 years. But I really was tired of I had a car that was kind of working sometimes it wouldn't. It would cut off, in the middle of traffic, stuff like that. And so it was needed, but I could have, rather than go and get a note, I went to the dealership and got a car note, not thinking about the car insurance was going to be ridiculous because I was a single male living in the inner city. Not only that, but also the the note itself, right? So I went and got this car note, went and got a new car, it was used, but it wasn't brand new, but it was newer. When you got this newer car, and once I realized, oh wow, the insurance is ridiculous. The insurance was more than the car note, I think. I went ahead and I was like, well, I'll just cancel that insurance policy and I'll pick it up later, get another one later. Never did. For various reasons and issues, but that should have been my number one priority. But because I could not delay the gratification of getting a newer car, we have the situation now where I'm trying to find funding for business, right? So I'm telling you that story because yes, that was, that's in your early 20s, and many of us were in our 40s now, and some of you might be in your 50s, 30s, whatever. Even now, that sticks with me now, that hold on, if I can delay gratification just a little bit, we're older, we might not delay it for 20 years, don't have that much time left, but if I can delay gratification for 5 months and take the money that I have been using to buy food or whatever with, I can go take that and put that in start a business, run ads for a business I want to start. If those of you might be doing something online, whatever the case may be. But it is an absolute life hack. So a lot of times we think that our faith and religion and all of that stuff, it is something that's used to control us and to keep us down, and it's not letting you be you and all of that type of stuff. Somebody said the other day, which was crazy, like the church invented sin in order to control people. I'm like, well, you need to tell David in the Old Testament, because he did some stuff, and pretty sure the church did not exist at that time, the church as we know it. So no, the church did not invent sin in order to control people. This verse in Proverbs is giving us a conceptual life hack, that if we can delay gratification, this is basically what fasting is teaching us. If we can delay gratification, then there are things in life that you are able to do. First of all, you'll have the discipline to do it. Second of all, you'll have the self-confidence. You're like, you know what? I conquered myself. I conquered what I wanted for the sake of my mission or my purpose. Or I conquered buying that meal for the sake of my mission, for the sake of my purpose. And a lot of times, we find ourselves not being able to do that. And so being able to learning how to delay gratification, this is why, like for me, I may not fast a whole day, but I'll fast until 11 pretty much every day, for the most part. Every now and then I might get a breakfast or whatever, but that delaying of the gratification of eating in the morning is giving me health benefits with this intermittent fasting, as some studies have shown. Intermittent fasting help with health and inflammation and all that type of stuff. So that delayed gratification has benefits for me for my overall mission of getting healthy and trying to stay healthy, trying to keep the weight off and and all that stuff. I got some more I want to get off. So now I have to figure out how to get into get my gym game back up. But if we use the scriptures as not just as proof texts for theological positions, but use them as concepts for life hacking, then that is a superpower. You have way more power than other people. So I'm gonna say it again. We need to use the scriptures as not as theological proof texts, but rather use them as concepts for life hacking. These are literal life hacks that God slow boiled in this book for thousands and thousands of years and gave them to us, and we can just literally life. Now, that doesn't mean that, if you're in certain countries, it doesn't mean if you're in North Korea that, I'm not saying that, and so I don't want to put this into extrapolate how we live in America to everywhere else. Obviously, in some places it's just not possible for you to, but when there are normal circumstances, when there are relatively peaceful circumstances, and you have a government or rulers that are maybe not righteous, but they allow some degree of freedom. I'll put it that way. These are concepts that can work for you. So read the scriptures to find the life hacks. Read, especially Proverbs. Read Proverbs to find there's life hacks there that we can use as Christian professionals and entrepreneurs that'll help us do a lot of things that we otherwise would not have the power and the capacity and the discipline to do. So a lot of times we find ourselves poor. It was something, and one day I'll create it and put it up, but I had what's called the proverbial quadrant. So on the one hand, you have people that are rich because they were diligent and they were faithful to God, and they did the things necessary within the system that they lived in to attain wealth, and they were righteous and they help other people, all of that type of stuff. So we have that in the Proverbs. And then you also see in Proverbs where you have people that were just mistreating people and stepping on people and treating people bad, and they figured out how to manipulate people and manipulate systems in order to get wealth. The wicked wealth, right? So then you have that quadrant. There's also the quadrant of those who are poor. There are some that are poor literally because of the wealthy wicked, and they're poor due to no fault of their own. So those are the ones that I'm talking about, that I'm not applying this to those types of situations. There are people that are poor through no fault of their own because they happen to just be born into a family in North Korea, and they're not one of the favorite families that live in the capital. So stuff like that, you can't really control that, unless God intervenes and whatever, what have you. You're a child that just happens to be born in 2024 in Gaza. Well, they can't control that. But then there's also those that are poor due to laziness and not being disciplined. Proverbs talks about that also. So that's the category, and that's what we want to stay out of, is being poor because we lack discipline. And so these types of verses is basically what that's talking about, where we he says, "He that loves pleasure shall be a poor man." That means you are undisciplined. We just going with the flow and spending money on whatever, but the discipline is so much necessary. It's necessary for our mental health, not just spiritual health, but also for our mental health. Like I said earlier, it'll make you feel like, okay, I was disciplined in that was hard for me to do. It was hard for me to say no, but I said no anyway. And it builds your self-confidence. Discipline builds yourself. Why do we think people like Kobe and Michael Jordan and LeBron are so confident? They're not arrogant. Well, maybe they are, but they're confident in their discipline. They were so supremely, insanely disciplined in learning the game and practicing the game as though they were practicing as though the practice is a game. They were so disciplined in getting shots up that by the time the game comes, their confidence was off the charts. Discipline builds confidence. And so when we are disciplined in certain areas in our life, then we will have the confidence necessary in our mental health to say, you know what, I I was disciplined in this, and so now I'm able to do that. That's what happened with David. David was a disciplined shepherd. He was like, even though he could have just said, oh well, the bear got the sheep, or oh well, the predator came and got my sheep, so oh well, whatever, I can't do anything about it. But he was a disciplined shepherd and made sure that he was taking care of the sheep. He's like, no, this is my responsibility. I'm going to take care of it, and so I'm going to slay this predator that's trying to take my sheep. And that discipline produced confidence that he could slay a giant. The discipline in our lives that we practice, the little small disciplines like, prayer, fasting, hesychastic prayer, scripture reading, all of those little small disciplines will give you confidence that, I can slay the giants in my life. That's all it is. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that aspect of using our faith for health and vitality and longevity. All right, I'll see you in the next video.